Have you ever looked at a travel ad for a modern cruise and just felt two completely opposite things at the same time? It's a very specific kind of confusion.
It happens constantly. I think it's the defining emotion of booking a vacation these days.
Right. Because on one hand, you see the marketing. It's like $399 for a week in the Caribbean. And you think, that can't be real. That's cheaper than staying home.
But then the other feeling kicks in, the fear. You've heard the stories about the hidden fees, the whole floating mall vibe where you feel like you're just being herded around.
Is it the best deal on the planet, or is it a luxury trap designed to just empty your wallet?
That is the paradox.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we are taking a deep dive into today. We're not just reviewing a vacation, we're trying to decode a system. We have this huge stack of articles and reviews from EMRJ Travel, written by Brad Kaplan.
Yeah, he just spent a week on the MSC Seascape sailing out of Galveston, Texas.
And he's the perfect guide for this. He's so meticulous. He didn't just go on a trip. He basically documented the entire infrastructure of the thing.
He really did. And, credit to EMRJ Travel, they really dig into the details that matter to actual people, not just the glossy brochure stuff.
So that's our mission. We're going to figure out how this whole ecosystem works. We'll look at the budget cabins. We'll untangle this incredibly confusing class system on board.
And we have to talk about the food. Why some of it's free, and why you're suddenly paying $50 for a steak.
Plus all the little friction points. The tipping, the apps, all the stuff that makes people mad online.
Okay, let's do it.
So let's start where every passenger starts. The hardware. The room you actually sleep in. Now, Kaplan, in this report, he booked an inside cabin.
The cheapest ticket on the ship.
Right. No window, no balcony, just four walls and a door. And the fear is, it's going to feel like a closet.
Yeah.
But what was the reality?
Well, the reality, according to the source material, is basically 3 words: simple, practical, and functional.
Okay.
But, and this is a huge caveat that Kaplan makes in his EMRJ travel report, it all comes down to your expectations. He says if you think of your cabin as a living room, a place to hang out all day, have friends over, it's going to fail. Miserably. It's just too small. But if you see the room as a utility, a place to sleep, shower, and change your clothes, then it works perfectly.
So it's a mindset shift. You're not paying for a suite, you're paying for a home base.
Precisely. But there were some physical details that really stood out, especially about comfort. And this is where it gets really subjective. Kaplan described the mattress as European firm.
European firm. That sounds like a very polite way of saying hard as a rock.
He was pretty blunt about it. Yeah, he just called it hard. And this is important because MSC is a European company. In many parts of Europe, a very firm mattress is totally normal.
But for an American traveler used to a Gilead pill at.
It's going to be a shock to the system. You're expecting to sink into a cloud, and you're not. He said the pillows were also just functional. They do the job, but it's not luxury.
So you're basically lying on a slab.
A very supportive slab.
Yeah.
But it just reinforces that idea, right? Utility over indulgence.
Okay, the bed is Spartan. But looking through the notes, there was one area where this budget room actually beat some luxury hotels I've been in. The tech.
Oh, this was a major, major win for the Seascape. On older ships, you're lucky to find one outlet, and it's always, across the room.
I've been there. Unplugging the lamp just to charge your phone, it's a nightmare.
Exactly. But this ship we're all digital creatures now. The review highlights amazing power access, multiple USB ports, plus both European and US outlets right where you need them.
It sounds small, but it's huge. It shows that designers actually understand the modern user. We've all got phones, watches, tablets.
It is huge. It's acknowledging that connectivity isn't a luxury anymore. It's a utility, just like running water.
Speaking of water, let's talk about the bathroom. The phrase in the EMRJ report was, form follows function.
Which is architect speak for, it is a very tight squeeze.
How tight are we talking?
Kaplan points out that the shower, toilet, and sink are basically engineered to be as close as physically possible without overlapping.
So you're not doing yoga in there?
No. But, and this is the key, the water pressure was good, the temperature was hot, and it was clean. It works. Once you learn the little dance of how to turn around without hitting your elbow, you're fine.
It's that efficiency model again.
It is. The reason the fare is low is because you're not paying for empty space. You're paying for a place to power down. If you can accept that, the room is a win.
Okay, so that's the hardware. But this is where the MSC experience gets complicated. Because you're not just booking a room, you are booking into a social class.
The experience levels. This is honestly the most confusing part of booking. And without a guide like these EMRJ travel articles, you'd be totally lost.
It sounds like a caste system on a boat.
In a way, it is. MSC has basically separated the hardware, the room, from the software, which is the service and the perks.
So you could be in the same type of cabin as your neighbor, but have a totally different vacation.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Let's break it down because the names are so weird. Bella, Fantastica, Aurea. They sound like Italian sodas.
Okay, so let's start at the bottom. Bella.
Bella is your basic economy. You get a room, but it's a guarantee room.
Meaning you don't get to pick where it is?
Nope. The cruise line assigns it. You could be under the nightclub. You could be at the very front of the ship. You get what you get. The review describes the pool deck vibe for this level as general population.
High energy, crowded, maybe a little chaotic.
Exactly. Fun, but chaotic.
Right.
Then you step up to Fantastica. This is the middle ground. And what you're really buying here is flexibility. You get to choose your room location, which is huge if you get seasick. You get free room service delivery, better dining times.
So Fantastica just removes some of the hassle.
It buys you a little bit of control. Then there's Aurea.
That sounds like the spa tier.
It is. Aurea is for people who want to opt out of the chaos. You get spa access, you get a private sun deck, a solarium. You are basically paying to escape the noise.
And then there's the big one, the yacht club.
The ship within a ship? This is maybe the most fascinating business strategy in the whole travel industry.
Describe this, because it sounds like a completely separate vacation.
It is. It's a physically gated, keycard access only section of the ship. Inside, you have a 247 butler. You have your own private pool, your own lounge, your own high-end restaurant.
You're basically bypassing the entire crowd.
The entire crowd. So you're on the same ship, floating on the same ocean as the person who paid $399 for that Bella ticket. But you are living in a parallel universe.
That's the genius of it, I guess. It lets them capture every part of the market on a single asset.
That's it. The ship isn't a product anymore. It's a platform.
Yep.
And you just decide how much friction you're willing to pay to remove.
Paying to remove friction. That is a very cynical but probably very accurate way to describe a vacation.
It's the reality. And honestly, it's why you need to read reports like the ones from EMRJ Travel before you book, so you know which side of that velvet rope you want to be on.
Okay, well, whether you have a butler or not, everyone has to eat. And this brings us to the food.
Yeah.
There's this stereotype that the included cruise food is, cafeteria slush.
The quantity over quality fear.
Exactly. Did the EMRJ report find that to be true?
Surprisingly, no. The verdict on the free food was actually very positive. Kaplan described the meals in the main dining room as tasty, hot, and filling.
Hot seems like a low dar.
You'd be surprised. I mean, they're serving thousands of meals at once. Getting a steak to a table while it's still hot is a logistical miracle. He specifically called out the prime rib and the French onion soup as being great.
And the buffet.
Praised for variety, lots of vegan options, gluten-free. So the baseline promise is there. You can eat well and not spend an extra dime.
But you can spend extra, a lot extra.
Okay.
And the source material had this really interesting history of cruise dining.
Oh, it's a fascinating evolution. Back in the 70s and 80s, the idea of paying for dinner on a cruise was offensive. The whole point was that it was all inclusive.
So what happened?
The 90s introduced alternatives, a small Italian place for a special night. But the 2000s, they turned dining into a massive revenue stream. It became entertainment.
And now on a ship like Seascape, you have these specialty dining options everywhere.
Everywhere. And they're not cheap. Kaplan tested out the steakhouse, butcher's cut.
What was the damage?
The cover charge was $50 per person.
$50. When there's free food literally down the hall, that's a steep upsell.
It is. And the question is it worth it? And the review says, yes. But strictly as a splurge. The quality was noticeably higher. The service was more personal. It's for a special night out.
But then you have the weirder value things, like the place called Hola.
The taco spot. This is a great example of cruise math. It's about $20 for all-you-can-eat tacos.
The taco arbitrage.
Exactly. Is $20 a good deal? Well, if you eat 3 tacos, no. If you eat 15, maybe. It sort of gamifies your appetite.
And all the while, you've got these little taxes everywhere, like the gelato bar by the pool.
Right. It's just sitting there. Your kids see it, but it's not included. It's $5 to $8. It's a microtransaction.
It feels like a mobile game. Free to play, but pay to win.
That's a brilliant analogy. The base cruise is free to play. The gelato and the steakhouse, those are the in-app purchases.
Okay, so let's pivot to something that was surprisingly excellent without an upsell. The entertainment.
This was the biggest shock in the whole EMRJ report. Kaplan rated the entertainment a 10 out of 10.
A 10. That's
Yeah.
high praise. Usually cruise ship shows are, let's be kind, a little cheesy.
Or, high school musical level. But Seascape seems to be operating on a different plane. They're using massive LED screens, digital backdrops. The production values are really high.
But there was this detail about the vibe in the theater that I found fascinating. It wasn't about the show itself.
Yes, no drink pushing.
Explain why that's such a big deal.
On so many cruise lines, the theater is just another bar to them. The show is background noise for selling margaritas, so you'll have waiters ducking in front of you the whole time, breaking the immersion. It feels like a sales pitch.
And on the Seascape.
Kaplan noted that the staff they respected the performance. They weren't aggressively selling. And it created a much more respectful atmosphere. You felt like an audience member, not a customer.
That is refreshing. Now, we have to touch on the context here. This was a winter cruise out of Galveston. The weather was rough.
Which is the ultimate stress test for a ship, right? Anyone can have fun when it's sunny. But when it's cold and the seas are churning, the ship itself has to work harder.
The indoor spaces become critical.
Right. And the review points out that the Seascape handled this really well. It has huge indoor areas, pools, arcades, lounges. It just absorbed the crowds.
And the motion, because rough seas can ruin a trip.
Apparently, the stabilizers were doing their job. Kaplan described the motion as sleep-inducing rather than nauseating.
That's the best you can hope for. Okay, we've covered the good stuff, but every system has friction. Let's talk about the headaches.
The digital friction and the financial friction.
Start with the app.
This was a classic tale of two cities. Before the cruise, the MSC app was a nightmare. Kaplan said it was clunky, hard to navigate. It was creating anxiety before the trip even started.
The last thing you want.
Right. But, and this is so weird, once he was on board, connected to the ship's Wi-Fi, the app worked perfectly. It was smooth, it was fast, it was useful.
So it works on the intranet, just not the internet.
It seems that way. It's a reminder that the experience starts weeks before you board, and that's a gap they really need to fix.
But the bigger friction point, and this is the one that lights up the internet forums, is gratuities.
The great service charge debate. This is where culture and commerce just collide.
So Kaplan breaks this down. It's an automatic charge added every single day to your bill.
Right. It was about $14 to $16 per person per day. And this causes massive confusion, especially on an international line like MSC.
Because of the cultural differences around tipping.
Exactly. Americans, we get tipping. It's in our DNA. But many European travelers, and remember, MSC is huge in Europe, they see a price and expect that's the price. So when an extra $200 shows up on their bill, it feels like a hidden fee. It feels dishonest.
So is it a hidden fee?
Functionally, yes. It's a mandatory cost of labor that's been stripped out of the advertised price to make the sticker price look lower. It's pooled among the entire crew laundry, the galley, the people you never see.
So you can't really opt out.
I mean, you can technically go to guest services and ask to have it removed, but don't be that person. These crews work incredibly hard, but from a transparency standpoint, it's a huge friction point. You just have to mentally add that cost to whatever cheap fare you see online.
So when you do the math, when you add the fare, the taxes, the daily tips, what's the bottom line? Is it still a deal?
The value proposition is, it's undeniable. Kaplan did the final accounting. When he tallied everything up, it came out to roughly $71 per person per day.
$71 a day.
Let that just sink in for a second.
I can't get a decent hotel room for $71.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come with 3 meals and a Broadway-style show.
Exactly. For that $71, you get your lodging, transportation between countries, all your meals, entertainment. There is just no land-based vacation that can touch that math.
That's the loss leader pricing.
It is. But, and this is the final crucial takeaway, you are getting the Bella or Fantastica experience for that price. You are not getting the butler. You are not getting the steakhouse.
It all comes back to expectation management.
That is the phrase of the day. Kaplan's summary is that this ship delivers exactly what it promises, as long as your expectations match your ticket. If you pay budget prices and expect the yacht club, you'll be miserable. But if you pay budget prices and expect a clean room, hot food, and a fun time, you found the deal of the century.
It really feels like the modern cruise ship has sort of gamified leisure. It's not a vehicle anymore. It's this tiered society where you're constantly making choices.
It is. It's a microcosm of the real world. You've got the general population, premium economy, and a gated community all floating on the same piece of steel.
And that leads to the question I want to leave everyone with. This ability to customize your trip, to pay, to remove friction. Does this democratization of travel, where you can get on board for $71 a day, actually make the experience better? Or does it just turn us all into vacation project managers, where we spend our whole trip calculating if the taco arbitrage is worth it?
That's the danger, right? When you turn relaxation into a calculation, is it still relaxation?
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Huge thanks to the incredible reporting from EMRJ Travel and Brad Kaplan for giving us the data for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Their work really helps you navigate these massive systems.
It was a fascinating look under the hood.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next deep dive.